Alright, so today we're going to talk about how I turn Instagram views into paying clients. It's a breakdown of my content ecosystem, how I find my leads through Instagram and platforms like even LinkedIn, send them on to YouTube, and then convert them into actual paying clients. Before we get into it, a few housekeeping activities to just build credibility and show you what I'm dealing with. So I was able to hit about $24,000 in 26 days between my done for you services and done with you piece on the consulting side. And I actually ended up hitting 29,870 by end of the month. I was hoping to hit 32, didn't, fell short by a few thousand, but this was all through the same content ecosystem I'm going to walk you through today. And in terms of where I stand right now, I have just about 5,200 followers on Instagram, around 5,250. This is actually from a few days ago. I have a little over 1,000 subs on YouTube, and on LinkedIn I have about 9,000 followers. But I should say most of the leads or most of my following on both Instagram and LinkedIn came from my podcasting days. So only about a handful of the followers that you see here are actually people that followed me because of the content I've been publishing the last 6 months or so. Now, going into what the ecosystem actually is, it's basically going through discovery or capture, then lead nurture, and then lead conversion. This is something I actually broke down in another video of mine where I spoke about the Instagram to client system. So you should check that video out first before you get into this one. But if not, you can actually go through this whole thing, and I'll leave a link to the video at the end of this video too, so you can stick around. And the reason I say you should probably check that one out first is because the part we're focusing on here today is basically just this bit from here to here. All the other pieces are things that we're not going to be talking about, although those are important as well. We're not talking about any of these. We're basically going through how we find the right winning ads or the right kind of bottom of funnel organic content, send them onto YouTube using ManyChat or even just manually sending them, and then finally that converts into clients. So let's actually get into that. But before I do that and talk about what are my different nurture candidates, what are my short form attention candidates, I want to talk about this piece, the whole part about ads. This is almost like a hack to how you can run ads. So a lot of people online think that you can simply just throw ad dollars at a creative and you'll just magically start getting leads. It doesn't work that way because obviously there are a few challenges with just running ads in terms of targeting, in terms of how you position some of the ad campaigns. But the bigger and the more important piece is how your creative is structured. Meaning that if it doesn't get you the outcome that you need, or how it's structured to get you the outcome that you need, chances are that no matter how many ever dollars you throw at it, it won't give you the kind of conversion or the engagement that you want from your content. And so the simplest way for you to find a successful ad, well, there are two ways, and I'll tell you what the bigger companies do. The first way is basically you have 25 different creatives that you run ads on, and out of the 25 in a particular campaign or different ad sets, you realize there are two big winners, and so those become your flag-bearing ad candidates, and so most of your ad budget would go towards those two. But a simpler way you can do that and save yourself a lot of money is you focus on organic content first, experiment the shit out of things with organic content, and through engagement and through the right piece of content, you'll see whether you're getting fairly above average impressions and above average engagement, and if that's the case, then you can actually triple down on that by just throwing more ad dollars on it. I'll actually go through a few examples here, but this is very, very critical to understand before you even think about running ads. Because if you go back to the content ecosystem piece I mentioned earlier, you could either focus on ads or you could also focus on organic bottom of funnel content. Now I should say that the entire strategy I mentioned here in terms of identifying the right short form candidates came because I played the numbers game. It's a quantity game when it comes to short form content where you need to experiment the shit out of things to see which ones actually stick, which ones are giving you the kind of outcome that you need. And out of about 40 or 50 reels I published in the last 2-3 months, these were the ones that really stood out and got a lot more engagement, a lot more views or impressions, and so I decided to triple down on them with ads as well. And so these became my short form attention and ads candidates. I would recommend the same thing for you to run or rather create a bunch of different content pieces, short form content pieces, and see which are the ones that are giving you the kind of engagement that you need, the kind of impressions that you need, the kind of views that you need. And again, which part of the funnel do they fall also matters a lot. In my case, most of these were middle to bottom of the funnel kind of content. And from there, once I know these are the short form pieces of content, I need to know where I'm sending my traffic. And so in my content ecosystem, like I said, I'm basically taking my Instagram engagement or the people I find through Instagram and sending them to YouTube. So here, it's not a quantity game, it's a quality game where these content pieces, I don't care whether they get a shit ton of views or not. And I'm not too really focused on the kind of views I'm going to get from these videos. I'm more focused about whether these videos are structured in a way that it actually solves a pain point. And again, what I'm doing with this video too is the same thing. It's how I am going through this topic of how I turn my Instagram views into paying clients, and I'm breaking it down no holds barred on this particular video. And so in this case, I basically have about 6 videos I've shortlisted. And my goal is to find people or leads through attention platforms like Instagram and then push them onto my YouTube channel and direct them to one of these. Now you'll see there are a few tags on top of these. It's either I2R or R2S. I'll talk about what these two are a little later, but for now you can just treat them as 2 different ICPs. So I2R is for anyone who's a beginner and R2S is for anyone who is an advanced client, someone who's already created content and has a successful business online. So that's all you need to know. And so you'll see I have a few candidates for R2S and I have a few candidates for I2R. And if you scroll here, you'll see that there are additional backup pieces as well. So there are a couple more short form videos that did fairly well. There's also a carousel that did really well. There's also another nurture backbone, YouTube video that I thought I should include, but I just thought for this particular campaign, I'm just going to include these particular ones because they are really good nurture candidates and it'll get me the kind of outcome I want with my leads and clients. So now if I were to zoom out, what I'm basically doing is taking one of these videos and then sending my leads or people who engage with those pieces the right YouTube videos that you see here. So basically what we're doing is we find our leads through short form content like this, like winners. And then from there, we use our YouTube videos as good nurture candidates, or I should say good lead magnets. And we send them these resources and they get nurtured through the course of them consuming that content. We have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 videos. And let's actually go through what those are. So you'll see one of them is for I2R. The video talks about how, again, it's a storytelling reel where I speak about one of my friends' acquaintances where she thought I wasn't making money from content. The engagement was through the roof on this particular video. And so once they did engage, what I would do is send them something along the lines of changing their mindset when it comes to content and also providing them with a step-by-step tutorial, or in this case, this is also a VSL to help them get to their first $10,000 a month. And so you'll see I've tagged it as either someone who's getting started from scratch or how we can help them use content the right way. Once people engage with this particular piece of content, we would send them both of these through ManyChat, or you can even manually send them this. Now, if I were to zoom out and show you what the ManyChat flow basically does, is if we have a bunch of messages, we also send them those 2 links like I mentioned. But through the course of doing that, we ask them to, one, give us their email address. So that way we can send them our newsletter and further nurture them through our emails. But also we get them to follow us. So that way there's a validation in place from ManyChat that ensures that we only provide them with the resources or the lead magnets if they follow us and provide us with their email IDs. So it's the same thing for the different videos. So this one is more around lifestyle design. That's the topic. And this is going to target an R2S client. And so in this case, we're sending them the navigator model. And then we can also send them a proof of our Instagram to client system. And you'll see it's basically like we're cycling through different lead magnets in a way that we can nurture our leads or prospects. So in this case, it's a combination of I2R and R2S, where we're talking about the importance of a content ecosystem or the importance of long form content. So we'd send them something for proof, and we'd also send them something that's a step-by-step process for them to get there. The same thing for this video, it's R2S, it's about trust building, R2S showing the method, R2S content ecosystem. And again, this is the flow that we follow for all of our better engaging content pieces on Instagram. Now, the reason why I'm showing you the entire flow is because when we did publish these videos, we weren't entirely sure whether these videos are going to do well or not. So initially, if we see that there's an uptick in terms of engagement, then we quickly update ManyChat to handle the follow-ups and sending them the resources that they need. But to be fair, of late I've been updating ManyChat or getting my team member to update ManyChat on all of our videos, so that way we can send them the resources accordingly. But the reason I'm breaking this down and showing this to you is because you need to kind of orchestrate or come up with this flow, so that way you're taking them from, like I showed you right at the beginning, taking them from lead discovery or capture on Instagram to lead nurture on YouTube. And from there, you can actually convert or close them on DMs or over the sales call. And that's how they become clients. In some cases, YouTube is so leveraged that I have seen instances of late where there are people who are willing to pay me money without even getting on a call, which is crazy. Like, for instance, my latest client, not my latest client, the client before that, she just wanted to have a sales call, or it wasn't even a sales call. She just wanted to have a call as a matter of fact. She's willing to make the payment, but she's like, let's connect to just discuss details. And so if you're able to orchestrate your content ecosystem the right way, then it becomes a very easy way for you to use this whole thing as leverage, and you're kind of removing yourself from the equation. And my goal eventually is to get to a point where I don't have to have any sales calls at all. I'm just getting started with my consulting side of things. Not just getting started. I mean, the done for you piece is something I've done for the longest time. The done with you piece is fairly new. And so I need to get on sales calls and understand what my clients are looking for. So of course, I'm going to join a few of those calls. I'm actually pushing to get on a call to understand further. But the fact that I noticed this happening with some of my latest clients shows that this works. And I want to get to a point where early next year, once I have the program sorted, I don't want to take even a single sales call. And so this is probably the most leveraged way of doing that. And second, another big reason why this works really well for me is now that I know some of these have worked organically, I'm going to be throwing some ad dollars on each of these pieces to see if they're going to convert and get people to, engage with my ads, and then continue sending them, all of these lead magnets and nurturing them in the process, which I think is super leveraged. And so it goes back to what I said. If you don't know which one is going to be a successful ad, the best way is for you to actually test things out organically and then pick those ad creatives or pieces that have worked well organically, and you amplify them or boost them with ad dollars. This is something that Sabri Subi from Shark Tank Australia talked about a while ago, where he said the right ad creatives are basically the same creators that evoke an emotion even on the organic side of things. And organic content is far harder than inorganic content. So if you can get that game right, you can basically amplify and target the right people using ads.
One of the things that has become more apparent with Instagram Reels and TikTok is that you want to use organic to feed the paid engine. So it's a great way, now that you can get distribution on these platforms without having huge follower bases, for you to test hooks and for you to test messaging that works in your marketplace, and then finding out what works organically and then turning that into an ad and then amplifying it.
And that's how ads need to be used. And so this entire structure worked really well for me on the organic side, and now I'm considering throwing some ad dollars on some of these pieces and experimenting to see which ones work. So yeah, that's going to be the next step. But I hope this whole flow actually helped, because a lot of people just create content without thinking about what's the outcome of the content. Like, yes, you're trying to provide value with your content, but if you're not able to use content as serious leverage, then you're just going to be stuck in that content hamster wheel approach, and you don't want to be there. Instead, if you see this, I just have like 6 pieces of content. I haven't published any of these nurture type, bottom of the funnel kind of content. This is one that I'm creating after a long time. And so this will go back into the mix into these candidates, and I'll start creating short form content pieces that would kind of be upselling them to this particular video. Actually, if you're interested in knowing more about this approach, I call it the content engine approach, where we take one idea and that becomes your backbone YouTube video, and you then kind of extract micro value pieces, and that becomes your short form content, your reels, your posts, your carousels, and we kind of push people back onto YouTube, which is going to be the backbone for all of our nurture and conversions. If you're interested in checking out more around that, I'll actually leave a link to that video where I break down the content engine method approach at the end of this video. So stick around. And just to tell you that this is not my first rodeo, right? Like I've been creating content for the longest time. I've created over 1,000 videos. I've had my podcast blow up and it was ranked in the top 1.5% globally. It was sponsored by Sennheiser. I've created over 1,000 videos, like I said, across long form, short form, whatnot. I've ran a successful media agency, which is still active to this date. And this is the part that, you know, I spoke about earlier with the done for you piece. So you see, you need done for you. This is basically my media and consulting piece. But I realized that I wanted to focus more on the done with you side. So that way I can impact more people at scale. And so the program I'm running right now, and you know what I'm really good at and what I'm known for is helping ambitious entrepreneurs scale online using a solid content and marketing strategy. And so the whole I2R, R2S is part of my program called I2A, which is Idea to Authority. It's basically going from $0 to revenue of about $10,000 per month. All of these are per month. And then going to scale, which is about $25,000 per month. And then going to authority, which is about 100K per month. I'm kind of stuck in this space. So obviously, the S2A piece doesn't exist right now. I'm not taking on any clients. I'm not going to hoodwink my leads or my clients. But the part that I was able to do is something I want to help others do as well. So the I2R program is basically taking someone from idea to revenue, going from $0 to $10,000 per month, using the content ecosystem approach and a bunch of other things that I've learned working with numerous clients on the done for you side and things I've experimented with my own business. So this is basically for the beginners and intermediate clients piece. And then there's my revenue to scale, which is R2S, going from about $5,000 or $10,000 per month in consistent revenue to about $20,000 to $25,000 per month. So this is for advanced clients. And so yeah, if you fall in either of these categories, if you're just getting started and you want to hit your $10,000 a month, then you know we are taking on people for our I2R program, which is the done with you piece. And then if you're someone who already runs an online service-based business, you could be a coach, consultant, or an agency owner, agency owner, or you want to monetize your personal brand, then you'd fall in the R2S category. But either ways, we have our framework dialed in. It's worked for numerous clients on our done for you side. It's worked for me clearly. And now I'm actually looking for ambitious entrepreneurs who want to hit these goals. So if you're on the I2R side of things, you have a day job or you already have an existing business, but you're not able to get beyond the $0 mark, then reach out. I'd love to, involve you and include you in our next intake. Like I'm being very particular about who I bring into my program because I actually ran a beta program and I brought in every person who was interested in the program and the outcome wasn't that great. Because what I'm really looking for right now are case studies where if I'm able to get you to your $10,000 goal, then you can actually vouch for the fact that this method actually works. And by that, you should be willing to do the work and be really driven and inherently driven and ambitious. And so, yeah, if you fall in that category, then reach out. I'd love to have you as part of our next intake. There is a waitlist at the moment, but I will be opening it up. And right now, like I mentioned here, there is a limited time pricing because, like I said, I'm looking for flag bearers of this program. So reach out to me on Instagram and you can work with me. And again, if you're someone who already has an online service business and you want to work with me and get to your next goal, then reach out. I'm taking on people for the R2S side as well. I think that pretty much covers the whole bit. As promised, here's the video where I talk about how I hit 24K in 26 days. You should check that out. It's a complete breakdown of the different steps you need to go through from lead discovery to lead nurture to lead conversion. And here's a video where I talk about the content engine approach. You can check it out. It'll give you an idea of how you take one particular topic or idea, your YouTube video becomes a backbone, and then you kind of create micro value pieces on different platforms from there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.